Hey, fraud and audit friends and family. Listen, imagine an investment opportunity that seemed too good to be true because none of us have seen any of those, right? It promises a lot of high returns. They have an impressive track record, and then they promise insider access to some lucrative deals. Now, doesn't that sound like a dream come true? It's almost like you've been invited to some sort of secret investment society that could change your life forever. But can you really trust those promises of high returns? Well, if you're intrigued like me, hang on today as we discuss the mirage of millions.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
So, you all heard the question that I asked. Have you ever had someone approach you with an investment opportunity that just seemed entirely too good to be true? You know, they promised, we're going to give you a 1000% return and we're going to do it in 90 days. And they seem so confident about what they're saying. Has that ever happened to any of you guys? Because we have some people joining us already, including Christine. And Carol is here and she says, oh, it is Friday the 13th, isn't it?
I know. So don't say any magical words that turn your day crazy. How can I don't want to say the magical words. Do you know what they say, like full moon? Like if you work at a hospital and it's a full moon, people say that and they say it's all crazy. I think if it's Friday the 13th, a lot of times if you're like, oh, today isn't, then all of a sudden things get crazy.
I'm going to tell you a secret, or not so secret. I don't believe in the Friday the 13th crap. Never have, actually. I've never thought it was bad luck. It's never brought me bad luck. I really don't care. So I don't know. The only Friday the 13th that scared me was Jason Voorhees walking through the woods with his mask and his axe, because every time you watch the movie The Friday the 13th, no matter how fast the person was running, Jason seemed to always be able to catch up to them while he was walking.
What commercial was that? Was it for an insurance company where they were laughing at it, where it had like Jason or whatever, and it's like the girl and there's like a car running with the keys in the ignition and everything, and she ends up running to the shed that has all the knives and axes and everything? Yeah.
I think it was I remember that now. I think it may have been Geico, wasn't it? Let me see.
Now, if we remember that, that is a great marketing strategy by Geico's marketing department.
It really is, and now I'm looking it up. Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. Yeah, it was Geico, I think. It was. It was
Geico
Geico.
horror movie commercial.
And get this, they said John Travolta played Jason Voorhees in that commercial. I don't know if that's right or not. It's one of the headlines I'm just looking at right now. That is very interesting.
Well, let's see. If it's a rumor, is it a bad rumor? Does it hurt anybody's feelings? Would it make anybody feel bad? If those are all no, then that's an okay rumor.
Look, somebody said happy Friday the 13th. Let's see. Who
Stephanie?
was this? Oh, that was Carol.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Carol's on YouTube and LinkedIn.
She's getting you double views. This is
and I really do appreciate that.
This is like last week's story. Oh, Rob.
Well, except for Carol really is a real person and she really is streaming.
That's true. That's true.
So, and I don't know how many of you all caught last week's story, but if you missed it, oh goodness. Marsha says, hey everyone, I hope you survived the presidential debate.
mean, I watched it.
So did I.
I made it through this one. The other one I didn't. I think I shut it off in 10 minutes. The previous one.
Well,
progress.
I'm not going to get political. The only thing I'm going to say is there were no winners, and it was a lose for the U.S. people. For the people, for us, it was a lose for all of us. So a lose, or a loss for all of us. Sorry,
I've seen videos of previous presidential debates, and I sit here and I think to myself, like, I always thought presidential debates weren't worth the hype that they were because we don't talk about it. And now I look at those ones historically and I'm going, man, I wish we went back to those.
That was my thought too.
Don't know what you got till it's gone.
Very true. Okay. So anyway, here's the question that I have for everyone. Oh man, you know what? Today, everybody is here. Thomas is here. Marsha is here. Carol is here, of course. Karina is here. And my man, Shafundu is here. Shafundu, you know what? I was supposed to send you a message, man, when everything got fixed on my website. It's been fixed. Shafundu was trying to buy an I Love Audit shirt, I think, or a mug or something for his friend. And it was something had happened with the website. I don't know what happened. Probably that last big cyber attack, that CrowdStrike or whatever, maybe. And, you know, I told him, I was like, hey, I'll message you when I fix it. I fixed it, forgot to message you. I do apologize, man. I do apologize. So here's my question for everyone. Have you ever been promised huge returns from an investment from someone, anyone, and what was it? Never? No. Ooh, I've got one for you. So when I was young, this guy that I knew was running around trying to get us to invest in something that I'm not really quite sure what he was trying to get us to invest in. But what he said was, if we gave him X amount of dollars, that he would double it in 90 days. So he would give us double our money back in 90 days. And I was leery, obviously, because I mean, I'm an auditor. So, but what he did was he would take everyone's money, and then at some point he would give a payout to a few people. But the way he did it was really, really interesting and slick.
Okay.
When there was a crowd of us around, either playing basketball or playing cards or just hanging out, that's when he would come in and he would give one person this prize that was double their money that was invested. So obviously everybody else looked around like, whoa, this is cool. We need to invest. And so a lot of people did, although we weren't quite sure what we were investing in. And I'm just looking like, why would I do this? Anyway, what ended up happening was obviously at some point, the whole thing ran out of money and the last people to invest didn't get anything except for empty pockets.
So he was just using everybody who was putting in to do his payouts, and eventually it just popped.
Yeah.
How did you end up in, like, what was your overall overshort from doing this investment?
I didn't do it.
Oh, okay.
It just didn't seem right. Like so I'm that annoying friend that asks questions, and somebody's being truthful, then it's okay because they'll fill the questions. If they're not being truthful, they'll get angry at me because I'm asking questions. And so I said, well, what are we investing in? And he was like, well, you know, and he said something. I don't know what he said. I said, well, so what is our money going towards? Do I have an ownership interest in this? And see, I was like 18 at the time. I didn't really know that.
Ahead of the curve.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that it was a fraud. It just didn't seem right. I was like, what am I investing in? Do I have an ownership interest in this? Can I ride it, play with it, throw it, kick it? Like, what is this thing? Like, what is this thing? Because I remember one day when he showed up and he did the whole winning for everybody. I started asking a few questions and he gave me one of those looks like, shut up. And I was thinking to myself, what I was sincerely asking because I needed some money, right? I was working, but we could all use more money. So I was really genuinely curious. But that curiosity didn't go well with him because, you know, it wasn't real.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So Marsha says, does this sound like Bernie Madoff? Right? But this was well before Bernie Madoff, though. This was well before Bernie Madoff with a bunch of people's money. And Shafundu says, when it is too good to be true, it probably is. But you know what? Here's what's funny. I just shared my story with you all. You mean this has happened to no one else? Like I'm the only person who's had this experience?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just the small town that I live in that, I mean, I don't have people knocking on my door asking me to double my money.
Okay. Well, have you ever had the opportunity to invest in an IPO?
No. I still have kids that live in my house. I still got a middle schooler. I'm sitting here like, I need to have money in case they decide to go to college. I'm more worried about how can I like max out my IRA contributions.
Well, what if somebody said to you, I got this company that's about to go public and you can invest in it early right now? What would be the first thing you would say to them? What would be your thoughts?
Number one, and that's the thing that kind of stinks because this is how you get looped in. I'd want to know the person. Like I'm not gonna off of somebody randomly, right? So not saying that that's gonna prevent fraud at all, because look at how a lot of these start. It's all who you know that rips you off, right? And then it gets to be word of mouth. So I look at that. I would be very hesitant. I mean, of course, I would probably sit there and say, oh, what company is it? Let me research the company. And I'm not sitting here and saying I'm like tight-lipped with my money. So I have bought, like I have Dogecoin right now. Did I do it to make money? No. I put $10 in. So I understood cryptocurrency. Like I understood it was my cost to become educated, right? So would it be something I would probably be open to it? Yes, but I would still do research and I would put an amount of money to it that if I lost it, it was equal to the education that I learned from that process.
Oh, now that's a good point. So how's your Dogecoin doing right now?
I don't know. It's probably been about 8 months since I've looked at
it. Now I'm curious how Dogecoin is doing right now.
Right. I mean, and I did it because I knew it was like 0.0000001. So I'm like, okay, I stick in $10, right? I completely forget about it. What happens if in like 30 years, it's all of a sudden worth $1 each? Well, then that really wasn't a bad investment. But let's say if it goes completely upside down. Okay, so somebody got my $10.
Well, I can tell you that over the last year, oh man, it had a huge spike in March, from about March until May, and it went down in July. Overall, though, if you purchased last year, you said it was about 8 months ago. If you purchased the beginning of this year, you're probably either up or about even. But it had a huge spike around March or so. And today, it actually is doing quite well today. Well, not quite well, but it is up substantially in intraday trading. And by substantially, I mean like from 0.03 cent to 0.07. So
I am up $1.79.
There you go. See, that's
actually not that bad.
Right, relatively speaking, considering it was a $10 investment, you aren't doing too bad. So yeah. Now Thomas says that he watched the Garfield movie recently. Why, I don't know, because he said he felt like he was scammed out of his time to watch a terrible movie. Does that count? That definitely counts. What made you even think that a Garfield movie in this day and age would be good? I mean, they've kind of lost the greatness of the cartoon. It was a great cartoon, don't get me wrong, loved it. But the movies,
But I mean, I don't know, and I don't know if it's a bad thing like that. I teach my children, right? So like when my daughter's looking at like a shirt or something and she's like, "Oh, I'll pay for it." Like I always sit here and go, because she is a dishwasher. She's 15. She makes like $8.50 an hour. I know that's low. I know she could work at McDonald's for $15. We're fine with that. She likes where she works. But I look at her and I say, okay, you know that $30 shirt, it's going to cost you more than like one night of working. Like that's like correlate with how much time, because time is something you can't get back. You can always make more money, right? Correlate with your time it takes for you to get that in what you're doing. So that's what I do. So I guess it would all depend. How much are you wanting me to put into an IPO? If you sat there and said, "Oh, I'm going to need $2,000," I'm going to be like, "Nope, no." If you're like, "Well, we can start you off at like $50," I could probably sit there and go, "All right, I think I could get $50 worth of education out of this."
But what if I told you your original investment is 100% safe, and the only time I would take money from you is after we generate profits, and then I would only take about 20% and the rest goes back to you? What if I told you that?
I might still only do $50, but okay, where's our contract? If you're guaranteeing my money, right? Then I'm going to say, okay, what insurance policy do you have backing this up?
Ooh.
Because that's the only way that you can guarantee me that I'm going to get my money back. Yeah, I don't know. But again, I'm in the financial services, Rob.
That's true. Most people wouldn't think about that. Well, would you at least check to see if I have a license to trade securities? Would you do that?
Yes. And I wouldn't ask you for your number. Like I would go out to a website. I would probably stalk you on social media.
Ooh.
I am not going to ask you for that information.
Now, that's a good point. You know what I'm wondering is, for anybody and everyone who's listening right now, if you have anything invested, whether it be you purchase direct stocks or you have a money mutual fund account or anything like that, have you looked to see if the investment firm that you use or the individual financial advisor that you use, have you checked to see if they actually are registered to sell you security? That's a very good point, Christine. Very good point.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you're going to have some of these brokers and stuff out there. They do have younger individuals that work for them. So the broker's license isn't necessarily with the person that you're dealing with. So it's check, like if you get statements, check whose name is on your statements. Check who's brokering for you. Like you could be talking to Joe Schmo, who is your direct contact, but he might not be brokering for you. It might be his boss.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in today's story, our defendants allegedly fraudulently misrepresented their investment fund, including having excessive and undisclosed share price markups to their investors that allowed them to raise more than $60 million. And then of that 60 million, it is alleged that they diverted approximately 27 million for the benefit of the defendants and other people, including salespeople that they had recruiting investors for them. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Okay. You're stealing $60 million. How in the heck did you not get out of this country and move somewhere where there's no extradition?
That's a good point.
Like, we see all this money that these people do. Like, do they not have like, oh, once I get to this amount, I'm just going to skip town and they're never going to find me? You're going to get caught eventually. Sorry, I'm a little crazy today. Like, $60 million. That's a lot of money.
But no, that's a very good point. Like that is a very good point.
Because then we wouldn't have talking points. We wouldn't have this podcast if they weren't caught. Or you wouldn't have this podcast, I should say, if they were caught.
Well, I mean, I think we're all in this together here. That is a really good point. So let's dig into this, though. Let's really dig into it, because now you've got me thinking. So what they did was it was a New York City based investment fund manager that bought and sold stocks issued from privately held companies in anticipation of IPOs, initial public offerings. They misrepresented the company. For one thing, they said that they took no upfront fees, which they did. They took a bunch of fees and they used those to pay sales agents and the 5 people who have been indicted. They claimed that they had a track record of working with IPOs and getting guaranteed returns for people. And they even had a bunch of sales agents that they gave scripts. And those scripts told those sales agents what to say to people in order to get them to invest. And that's why I think when you're on the phone with people, it's always important to keep asking questions. And if things don't make sense, you got to just keep asking. And if they really don't make sense to you, just hang up. Leave that person alone. You know that they're not to be trusted. Like, for example, at one point during the scheme, on their website, they displayed logos of, among other companies, Facebook and a few others. That's a few of these companies had already gone public, according to them, based on their work. But on the Facebook logo on their website, they superimposed this image, falsely claiming to have a 3,081% return for their clients.
Yeah. I don't know why it angers me. Like when you sit there and say they had scripts, it just reminds me of every scam artist that's out there.
Yeah. It almost reminds you of The Beekeeper, that movie, which was really good,
I still haven't watched it yet.
Gabe said he stole millions and he still lays low on the radar. But of course, it was Monopoly money. You know what? Monopoly was a great game to play, especially if you were the banker. You could slide a couple of bills under your leg while you were sitting at the table and no one would know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I've ever done that before. Gabe told me he did it.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm looking up these individuals.
Yeah. So, okay. So now, I told you that they said they could guarantee a return and it would be a high rate of return. They said that they didn't take fees, and they actually did take fees. Well, when some clients actually were smart enough to ask them, hey, are you registered to sell these securities? Because FINRA is the agency that says you can sell securities on the open market.
Mm-hmm.
They would send the clients to a website that was also not a legitimate website, that said that they actually were certified to sell securities by FINRA. So they actually made up a web presence and a web portal that had false information on it.
Was it even close to how, like, I can look up FINRA broker check right now, right? Was it even remotely close to what that website? I'm sure you might. I don't know if you know what the site was that they used, but
that one I don't know. I couldn't find it. I like to pull up websites when we can find them. I could not find it. So I'm guessing it's down now.
Did they all work for the same security company? securities
So
company.
here's the deal. There was one guy in New York who actually was registered, but the other individuals were not. And some securities did go through the guy that were registered. However, one thing that they were doing was they were buying securities from other legitimate firms and then saying that they were the true holders of those securities and that they actually bought them themselves. So some of the securities actually were purchased from firms that were registered, but this company purported to be the registering agent and they weren't.
Okay.
Oh, now Marsha asked, was this fraud before AI was prevalent? Yeah, I don't know. It just happened. It started in, I think, what is it said, 2018, I believe. Let me go back and I can tell you. That's a good question. Let's just say it started several years ago. And I'll find it in just 1 minute exactly when it started. Okay, in or about between May 2021 to August of 2023. So I guess around the time AI was becoming, a big thing. Because if you remember last week's story, the dude started in what, 2008 or 18 with his fake music. So
yeah, his went on for like almost a decade, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And these individuals are not old.
No, they are not. You want to tell the people how old they are?
Sure. 43, 36, 39, and 37.
Yep.
That's not old.
Not old at all. But back to your earlier question, why in the world would you just not go somewhere with no extradition?
I don't know. You and I think we will and a lot of us fraud people out there, we think about how, sometimes I wonder, do we sit here, because we always think about how could this be a fraud and everything else? Do we think the plan all the way through compared to some of these other individuals?
Yeah, I don't know. So they're also saying that they engaged in high pressure sales tactics and they had scripts that they gave their people. So for example, in one script that they titled Close, it falsely told them to tell people, we spend millions of dollars, sometimes tens of millions, on research before we ever recommend an investment to a client. Now, in another script titled Change Rebuttals, it said that they were offering the largest IPO in history. And he was saying, I got to believe when this thing comes public, it's going to be around $450 to $500 a share. And I have it for you cheap at $140. So this is what they were told to tell people.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so I feel like there's my two buckets of people. You have the people that are rich, have a lot of money. So they do the thing, like I said, all right, well, I'll invest. If I lose, I lose. That's how they've made their money. They do that risk versus reward. So you have those individuals. Then you have the people that are like, I want to get rich, or I need to get rich. I want to do it fast. So I think those are the two kind of groups that probably are easily bought into this and probably don't think as much about it. Tell me if I'm wrong. But that's my thought process on it. So when you hear something like that, okay, here's my money.
I can completely agree with that because, $1 million to a billionaire is like $1 to you and I, or maybe even a penny. But, but okay, so now listen to this now. The promise of I can sell you this security for $140 and this thing is going to be $500 when it goes public. In one particular instance, they did indeed charge one investor $140 per share for a particular pre-IPO company. However, they had just purchased that for $71.84.
Ooh. Well, and I guess they wouldn't see that because, like you said, they were purchasing from somebody else and then reselling, right?
In some instances, but also if it's a private company, you can't look up the stock value on in the public, right? So it's because it's not in the open market yet.
Oh, so that's a perfect storm.
Yeah.
And I mean, by the time you would look at it, once it went public, it doesn't make a difference. You're not getting your money back. And what are you going to do? Call up and complain? They're going to sit there and tell you, "Well, this is what happens when you invest in the stock market and investments. There's that risk. You should know that."
Yeah. So let's talk about IPOs for just 1 minute, though, because this year there have been some pretty big ones. So this year alone, we've had a company called Lineage go public, $18 billion valuation. Tempus AI, I'm not sure if they have gone public already or if they're slated to go, but estimated IPO valuation is 6.4 billion with a B. Astera Labs, I think it's already gone public, 5.5 billion. Reddit went public earlier this year and it was at a $6.5 billion valuation. StubHub, I think StubHub is either about to go or did earlier this year. I can't remember. 16.5 billion. And then the credit card processor Stripe is estimated that it's going to be 65 to 70 billion with a B when it goes public.
I mean, I'm not rushing to buy any. Definitely not StubHub, because I have a feeling, give it a few more years when people complain and the government will come in and start regulating that stuff, which I agree with.
Yeah. Anytime that those prices can be manipulated with bots, I think you have a problem.
Oh, it's not even, it's the upcharge.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my fees were almost 50% of what my ticket prices were when we were going to go see Aerosmith.
What's interesting too is, so you used to be able to pick your tickets up at the quote unquote will call booth, right? And there was an upcharge for that. Now that I can understand because you got to have a physical presence there and somebody to give you your tickets. Well, years ago, they started going to where you could either just have it on the app on your phone or you could print it out yourself, but there's still an upcharge for that. And it really made me scratch my head like, wait a minute, I'm using my own ink on my own printer and you're upcharging me. So this sounds kind of not right to me.
Yeah. And I pulled up the USAO on the one that we're talking about. Yeah.
So now another thing he told his salespeople to tell potential investors was that they were going to see them bringing huge companies public, and some companies that they had helped in the past were like Airbnb, Sweet Green, and Rivian. And so he threw out these comparisons to other companies that are well known and large and told his people to parrot that with potential investors to get them to invest. And they went on record to say that they actually quoted one of the people who was indicted with saying, we actually had Airbnb before they went public at 52.
Oh. What does it say? A picture, it didn't happen. Where's the receipts?
Where are the receipts? I'm with you on that. Now, Marsha is saying the love of money would cause the rich to buy into and need to be rich will pull the struggling class. Oh, yeah. Karina said you get a fee for just breathing. Well, yeah, it seems like they were charging fees for a lot of different things. They were charging fees for everything under the sun. It appeared to be, and what they were doing though, like I said earlier, when they were charging these people, they weren't investing the money in much. A lot of the money, from what the indictment says, is that a lot of money was going to pay the salespeople who were actually bringing in the investors, and a lot was going to pay these 5 individuals who have been indicted. Um, the one thing I couldn't find, though, and I guess it's too early in the process, was how much money and assets have they recovered now? But we haven't gotten that far yet, I guess. This is pretty fresh.
They'd be at zero if they went to a different country.
Christine is stuck on that. She's like, why did you stay?
So of course I gotta do numbers. My StubHub fees were total fees was $318.88. My price per ticket was $283.
What is?
So I was charged 28% in total fees for the total cost of 4 tickets.
Okay. What were the fees? How are they categorized? What is the label for these fees? I'm just curious now.
I can't find out now. So, and I just want to let people know, and Karina knows this because I was excited to go. I normally do not go to concerts. This was like, for me, my brother, sister, and my dad to go, because Aerosmith was one of my dad's favorites. We have gotten our money back because the concert got canceled. But I can't see. It just says tax was $0. Total fees was $318.88. So I can't. It goes to view order receipt, and that's the most detail I get. Yeah, 28%.
Wow. That's a lot of money in fees.
And I'm letting you know they don't tell you about I think they do tell you about the fees up front, but it's like as close to hitting checkout as possible on their website.
Now, you know what? That almost sounds like our people in today's story. Check this out. There's more. I just lost my place. Oh, here it is. So there was, I said, one guy who actually was certified to sell securities.
Mm-hmm.
And notice I said was, because one investor became very upset when they looked him up and found out that he was associated with this one company that was involved in this entire scheme. But also the investor complained that his or her investment had been misrepresented. And the reason they said that is because they had found out that one of the gentlemen had a FINRA allegation over $10,300,000 against him. Now, this individual, I think, was eventually suspended. I think FINRA eventually suspended this individual, but they had an allegation initially of $10,300,000 against them, and one of the investors found out and got pretty upset.
So he did his research after the fact, or this was before? No, it had to have been after the fact for it to make it.
That's what I was thinking. And that's what it made it seem like in the indictment. So, and this was disclosed during the grand jury. So it looks like after this person invested the money, because they said my investment was, let's see, hold on, where's the quote?
Is the one with all the explicit?
Oh, it's not that one, but that one is interesting too. I just had it and I just lost it. He said, I feel like my investment was misrepresented. So yeah, it was after he invested. He or she did his due diligence and well, his don't diligence. I guess his after diligence. I don't even know what to call it at this point, right? $10,300,000.
Oh man. So I'm guessing is that the Max Infinity guy?
Yes.
Okay. That, like, this is the thing that just kills me. It looks like he knows what he's doing. He invested in Palantir, SoFi, Facebook, and Twitter.
Yeah.
Or did he just get lucky to not get scammed out on those initial investments?
It seems like they had the legitimate guy working out of the New York office. And so he was doing some legitimate transactions because he was registered to sell securities. But I'm guessing the money that they offered him must have been more than his day job, which is why he allegedly helped this organization to defraud investors.
Yeah. Gives you access to some of the top information and deals on the street. And that, to Wall Street insiders, we are known as the firm that has been making their clients money hand over fist.
Yep.
I feel like if we had Tipper, he'd be like, that is your first clue that there's insider trading probably going on.
So listen, they took some steps to try and conceal what it was that they were doing. Now let's talk about this for a minute, because this gets really interesting. For instance, in January of 2022, they caused the deletion of most employees' company email addresses, and they discouraged employees from communicating with prospective investors in writing. Then, on or about September the 6th or so, in connection with concerns about the potential government investigation, one of them informed the sales team that they would be fired if they did not bring their concerns directly to him regarding some of the issues.
I'm guessing Rob went ahead and put on his mute.
Well, apparently there was a small problem here. So yeah, what I was saying was he informed them that they would be fired if they did not bring their concerns directly to him. And then this is what he said. He said, F that rat stuff. He added, I don't like the feeling that I have hawks all over me looking to F with me. I feel like I have a few moles in here, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Because I know a lot of people on the other side that are talking to and talking about, and some of the people that they know, I don't know. So he was trying to control the communication, control the messages that were being sent. And he told people don't communicate with potential investors via email, only over the phone. Now, here's what I'm thinking too. Now, when I read this is what I thought. Good luck getting me to try and invest a penny in something and I don't have anything in writing. Like what?
Right.
How big do the red flags get here?
Me reading it, I sat here and went, yep, these people are from New Jersey and New York, Staten Island. So, but yeah, no, I agree with you, Rob. Like, if somebody was talking to me and said, this is the deal, this is what I'm charging, da-da-da-da-da, I'm not going to send you money until I get some sort of documents, at least. Like, oh, you're going to tell me you're only going to take a 5% cut? Okay. Am I going to wait until my quarterly investment statement comes back and all of a sudden there's 30, 40%? And I'm going, wait. Well, we talked about it verbally over the phone. Who's going to believe me?
Right.
I mean, it's going to be a he said, she said. Now, if I could find 20 other investors that he did the same thing to, but how are you going to get those lists? You're not going to know who their clients are.
Yeah, it would only be something that they would give to you. And if they give it to you, like you pointed out earlier, you want to go to an independent source to verify this information.
Yeah. Did you talk about what they got charged with?
I don't think I did. There was a lot in here. Let's see, what did they get charged with? I mean, it's got to be our favorites, right? Man, losing my voice here. You know what? I don't think I. Oh, okay. So let's talk about what they got charged with. There's a few things. The first one was conspiracy to commit securities fraud. Makes sense, right? The second one was conspiracy to commit, guess what? Drum roll, wire fraud. It's always wires, right?
Yep.
Now, the third one was actual securities fraud. So there was conspiracy to commit securities fraud. Then there was actual securities fraud. This fourth one is really interesting. Investment advisor fraud. I mean, that makes sense. The fifth one was money laundering conspiracy.
I'm trying to look these up.
Let's see. And I think I got them all. That is insane.
So they might be looking at, just for that investment advisor fraud, probably potentially for over a decade. I'm guessing just because of the amount. So using AI, former Morgan Stanley financial advisor, he was sentenced to over 7 years in prison for a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme. A Wisconsin financial advisor received 4.5 years for defrauding clients out of just $1.8 million and evading taxes. Oh, I wonder if that's going to be a charge that comes later. Tax evasion.
Ooh.
So the average sentence for investment fraud offenders is around 46 to 57 months. But I wonder if that $60 million if that's going to be the big ticket that's going to push them for longer sentencing.
Yeah, because that is a lot of money. I'm still just curious as to how they got people to invest up to that amount of money, especially with all the red flags and especially with Google nowadays. You know, you can just Google, what should I look for before I make an investment? And it'll give you a bunch of red flags. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing too, is, I mean, I know AI. AI, we can use it, right, for the good. But now we've got these individuals that can use this for some serious fraud, right? It's going to make it a lot faster for them to generate, produce probably more financial fraudulent statements that can be pushed out a little bit faster. They'll probably be able to create things that look more real. Yeah. I memean, how many people get their quarterly statement from their investments and correlate the value, and going online and validating that value is what's been posted?
Yeah, now that is a good point because
I don't.
Yeah, neither do I. Especially if it's going up. I mean, really.
Right.
And here's what's funny about this one, though. They didn't even do what Madoff did. At least Madoff, well, okay, not at least. Madoff made it seem like these people were making money for a short period of time or even a long period of time. He created fake statements that showed that they were getting a return. So you wanted to keep your money in longer, and you would tell your friends because you would say, hey, look at how much money I made with this guy. Apparently, They just took money right off the top and kept it rolling.
They weren't lying. They were being honest.
They were honest criminals.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
This one is hard to really figure out because, and I know it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. I say that a lot. It's really to come in and say, okay, this doesn't look right. We probably should have checked this. We should have done that. So I get it. That's real easy, but I just don't understand. They sent people to, they also sent someone to a website saying that they were registered with the SEC when they weren't. So I'm assuming people were clicking on links that they were sending out instead of independent links. That doesn't make sense. Some of the people weren't registered with FINRA. That doesn't make sense. Like, what kind of statements were they getting, if any? This one is really, I can understand how people got defrauded by Madoff, because he made it look like they actually were making profits for a long period of time by sending out false statements, and they weren't. I can't see where they did anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's just
2024 is not his year. Because he was barred from FINRA in April.
Yeah. Yep. He was barred in April, and now all of this is happening. But I'm imagining that a lot of this is the reason that he was barred, I'm guessing. But who knows what that $10,300,000 was?
I'm sorry?
The $10,300,000 that was already looming, that one of the investors found out about. Who knows what that allegation was about? It may or may not have been associated with this.
Yeah.
Just wild.
I'm pinging on my computer. Yeah, no. $60 million. God.
Christine is not going to let the 60 million go. She's just like, 60 million? Why are you still in the U.S.? Why are you still here? Why aren't you somewhere off on your own private island, just sipping Mai Tais all day or something?
All right. Well, I mean, there's a list. Okay. I could do Iceland. I could do Switzerland. I might even be able to do Cuba. Maybe it's because the list is so minuscule, and there are places that it's like, I'm not going to go to Russia, Iran, Ukraine, North Korea. Like, my list just got really small. So now I understand why people probably don't. But
I mean, Cuba's a good option, though. The weather's nice, and Cuba's a good option. You know what? Okay. Speaking of North Korea,
treaties with those, like Cuba, Iceland, Switzerland. We do have treaties, but they're often known to refuse extradition requests.
Gotcha.
I mean, Cuba would keep you just because they know that your money would help the economy, right?
Wait. Speaking of North Korea, though, have you seen the guy who defected to North Korea?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can look this up really quick. So if you guys are not paying attention right now, Christine is talking about countries that have no extradition to the U.S. So she's wondering why these people would steal $60 million and still be in the U.S. Like, why would they not go to a country that didn't have extradition laws with the U.S.? And she pulled up the list, and apparently there wasn't a huge amount of countries to go to, but I am trying to look for, okay, I've got it. The guy who defected to North Korea. Darn it, I can't find a picture of him. I see the news stories, but I was going to pull up a picture of this gentleman who defected to North Korea. But he was a soldier.
Travis King?
Yeah, that's him, Travis King. And for the life of me, I can't find a picture of him. There's probably no more pictures that exist of him right now. Up there. Wait, no, that's a video. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's see if I can get this. So here's our soldier that defected to North Korea. Mr. Travis. Oh, Mr. Travis King. Oh, darn it. Mr. Travis King. And what they were saying is he just walked across the border. He apparently just was fed up with the U.S. and walked across the border. He was a private. He was in the first brigade combat team. What else? He was born on February 15th of 2000. He enlisted in the Army in January of 2021, became a cannon crew member, and while in South Korea, he punched a South Korean man in the face multiple times at a nightclub in Seoul. The victim did not press charges, and the Seoul court dropped the case. Now, he was involved in another altercation in South Korea, and when police tried to question him, he allegedly, according to Wikipedia, continued with his aggressive behavior without answering questions from the officers. He was placed in the back seat of a patrol car where he shouted expletives and insults against Koreans, the Korean army, and the Korean police. He also kicked the police vehicle's door several times, causing about $458 in damage. He later pleaded guilty to assault and destruction of public goods and paid $783 to fix the vehicle. Because of the incident, he stayed behind in South Korea when his unit returned to the United States. He was then administratively attached to the 2nd Brigade, that team, 4th Infantry. And shortly thereafter, following the charges of assault, he was fined approximately $3,950 US. And then on February 8th, 2023, that's when he was fined that amount of money. He was supposed to board a flight back to Fort Bliss, Texas, pending administrative separation for his actions on July the 17th of 2023. After leaving the airport, he joined a group of tourists on a civilian tour of the demilitarized zone, and they said that willfully and without authorization, he crossed the military demarcation line into the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The United States Department of Defense declared him absent without leave.
Right.
So AWOL from the military. Now that's crazy. I don't know if I could ever say that my life is so bad to where I want to defect to North Korea.
You would?
No, I said I can't say that I would ever say my life is that bad. No. Man, that doesn't seem like any fun. Anyway.
I know. And this is a good story today.
You say good, I say crazy. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it was interesting. That's what I meant by good.
No, I'm with you. It was a good story. So, all right. Thank you all for joining us on the Mirage of Millions. If anyone guarantees you a certain amount of return on an investment, just run. That would be the advice for today. God. If you're investing with a company that is trading securities, ensure that they are registered with FINRA. Make sure that they have the licenses that they're supposed to have. You can look those up on the internet and find those out. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
I forgot who said it. If it's too good to be true, I don't know if that was Shree or somebody. Yeah, it was.
And I think Marsha said something along those lines. There were a few people.
Pass it along to somebody that you might not really wholly like. Tell them to do it first, and if they make money, then go for it.
Marsha says she's got to run. Well, we are too, Marsha. See you next week.
Yeah, I got to run too.
Goodbye, everyone. See you next week.
See ya.